Welcome to a Management Plus training webinar. My name is Kevin Sloan. I'm a certified electronic health record specialist and certified ophthalmic technician. Management Plus is an industry leader in EHR, and we want to provide you with the documentation tools and the skills to use these tools proficiently. Today's training webinar is titled CQM Solutions Reporting. Let's get started. As you can see on the screen in front of you, I have a database that's titled Pulliam MD M. Michael. I'm actually accessing a client server remotely through remote desktop, otherwise known as RDP access. I have obtained permission from this client to use their server for this specific webinar. This is the email that was sent to the client in regards to obtaining permission, and she has given me the permission. So thank you, Linda Smith, the office manager at Dr. Pulliam's office in Georgia. We appreciate her giving me permission to do that. So we have Dr. Pulliam's database pulled up here, and we will be using this for this training webinar. Let's get started. Once CQM Solutions is set up and we have tested that it has confirmed to be functioning in all respect, you will be notified via email that this has been completed by our support staff. You will be supplied this document. It is a PDF. The title of it is Client Version MU 2014 from BAT 5714. And you will also be provided with this document that's titled Sorted CQM Cheat Sheet with Hyperlinks. And then more than likely, you will be provided with a text file that's titled something like this, CQM Metadata. This one's CQM Metadata for Michael Pulliam, since it applies to him. Those three documents are essentially standard whenever you are notified by your EHR specialist that your CQM Solutions report is fully functional and up and running. Let's take a look at this PDF. You'll notice that the date is 2014. A lot of this is outdated, but we still use this as part of training to get you on the right track for this. There's been a few slight modifications to this. Once Meaningful Use 3 is out, this may change even more so, and then you will be updated with this information only upon request. If you request this from your EHR specialist, or once the updated version is available, it will be in your hands, free at no charge, for just the asking. Otherwise, we will not send this to our clients. You'll just need to request this, and we'll be happy to send it out to you. So let's take a look at this part. It's labeled CQM Requirements. I'm actually going to read this verbatim. It says, below are the measures certified by Management Plus to assist you in your meaningful use attestation. Each physician must report on at least 9 measures. And I will throw in there that Management Plus is certified for 12 measures. And these 12 measures are essentially specific to ophthalmology or something that an ophthalmologist would do. Each physician must include at least 6 core measures. And core measures are marked with an asterisk. As you can see down here, here's one, and then another, yet another, and so forth with an asterisk. Okay. Each physician selected measures must include at least 3 domains. So you can see down below here, clinical process effectiveness is one domain. There are multiple measures within this. Controlling high blood pressure is part of that first domain. As you can see, this is a core measure, and you must do this. You don't necessarily have to do this for meaningful use, but for your CQM's solutions reporting, you do need to do this, so please document this on your EHR, your height, weight, and blood pressure. The second domain is population and health screening. Both of these, preventative care and screening BMI, which comes from your height and weight. It is calculated out automatically. So please document height and weight on your EHR since this is a core measure. Also your tobacco, so your smoking status, one of the specific options that are contained within the list. You will need to document that. That is a core measure. The third domain is patient safety. Use of high-risk meds in the elderly and medications list are the two that are core measures. So both of those are just done through doctor first. So e-prescribe through that and you'll be all set. And the last one is care coordination, which is closing a referral loop. That is when you use direct send to email encrypted medical data to the physician that you're referring them to. So there is some overlap with direct send and meaningful use report with all of this, so bear that in mind. That is a core measure as well. So that's again to be documented on the meaningful use form. Okay, let's take a look at this text file next. Generally, our support department will set up an account for the administrator. That information is accessible right here. If you're on the hosted website, that password is not available to you on the hosted website. It's something that we cannot give out to you for multiple reasons. But if you're not on the hosted website, we will provide you with that administrator login. If you are on the hosted site, don't worry, you won't need to get into the administrator account. We will take care of setting up all of the CQM Solutions accounts for the physicians in your office. We'll be happy to take care of that for you and provide you with their access information, which is what you see below. So for Dr. Poyam, his login is just basically his first and last name. As you can see here, his username, password is these three letters. His physician ID, you can get to this in two different portions of Management Plus. One, you can run a custom report and you can find what the physician ID is. The second option, which I have chosen to display here, is just to use the XML that's contained within the EHR. So I have searched for this specific ID, which is master underscore physician underscore physician underscore ID. And this has allowed me to find this value, which is number 2. And that is the value here. You can see that the staff number is 4, and that's different. But we're looking at the value here. That's number 2. Just documented that here as a courtesy to Dr. Poyam so that at any given time, they can always take a look at this and say, okay, here's my access information. I do happen to use his direct send email address as part of setting up the account, which I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. So it could be any email account. So that is there just for Dr. Poyam. Be different for your office. So don't try to use this in your office. It will be distinctly different. Okay, let's take a look at how to get into CQM Solutions. From the main screen, you click File, EHR, EHR Reports, and then Meaningful Use Report, CQMs, right below the normal Meaningful Use Report option. If this is configured correctly and it is currently functioning, you'll see this login screen on your web browser. You should have your default web browser to be set up as Internet Explorer. I believe this will probably work with Firefox or Chrome. I cannot say with certainty. If it doesn't, or if it gives you problems, just change your default web browser to Internet Explorer and you should not have any trouble. So I'm going to type in Dr. Poyam's first and last name. If I've spelled it correctly, then you will be transferred to the main homepage of CQM Solutions. If you have multiple physicians within your office, you will need to sign in under that physician's name or however your EHR specialist has it set up for each physician. This is not designed for running all physician reports under one login. Some offices that do log in as administrator and have access to that, you could potentially run a report. Support will set that up so that it will run with one of your physicians, but if you have more than one, you really don't know unless you've looked at the physician ID and matched it up with what's in their user account. So don't try to run reports under the administrator login. I'm going to show you how to access that in just a little bit. So you can see here that initially on 3/24 I created a report for all the measures and it failed. It failed for multiple different reasons, and that occurs sometimes. So naturally I had our support team jump on. They took a look at that, fixed it up, and did that very quickly. It was just one day and we had this up and running. So you can see that I have now created another report called Mycopodium 3 Report Test 2. I do recommend that you put the physician name on there and how long, so that if you were in the administrator account and you did happen to have multiple physicians, you could actually see all of the reports under that and still access those and know which physician they are for. Okay, before we get into the results, I'm going to show you how to create a new report. You click Menu. The Create Report option will be displayed. You'll want to put in a description, and it's a good idea to keep this standard. You can do Mycopodium 3 month, 6 months. You don't have to put the word report on there. I'm just going to do that for the sake of this webinar. Keep it basic, keep it consistent so that at any given time you know exactly what physician this is for and how long it is for. Although you can look at the date of the report and see, this just make it that much more easier for you. Clicking into the begin date column will launch a calendar. So I'm going to choose 2016, and let's just say it was January 1st. I wanted to start that. When you click the Add button, it will display some dates under most scenarios. You can see here that this window, it's kind of cutting that off a little bit. I'm going to see if maybe we can get a little bit more of that by making it a little wider. Okay. Not necessarily so. So you'll have to trust me when I say that when I click here, that is 3 months. And if we click below this, it'll be 6 months. And then there's also options for 9 and 12. This is just a result of the web browser doing this. Trust me, those dates are here, and if you mouse over that, you'll see that there's a specific line. So let's go down here and we'll choose 12 months so you can see that it actually added it on there. You can potentially type in the date. It has been mentioned that there are instances where there have been problems occurred when you typed in the date. So you should not do that. Also, you should only choose 3, 6, 9, or 12 months. Okay, make it easy on yourself. Don't set yourself up to have potential problems or cause this to lock up. Just run it for the 3, 6, 9, or 12 month options and you'll be just fine. The eligible professional, leave that as it is. Don't change that option. The use zip folder checkbox, leave that alone and don't click that. Down below are the measures. If you have chosen your 9 measures, feel free to go right ahead and click those off and choose the 9 measures of choice. You can run this for 1, 2, 3, or as many measures as you want. That is not a problem. You can select all by clicking select all and then unselect the ones that you don't want, or you can click unselect all. Technically, it doesn't really matter as long as you have at least one selected on one way or the other. When I run reports, I just choose the select all option and choose to select all of those. Makes it pretty easy. Q report is the button on the bottom that will fire this report up, and it will cause it to run. I am not going to click that button, only because I don't want to wait the 4 or 5 minutes to let that run. But let's just say we did, and we're going to imagine that I click this button. It will automatically take me back to the home screen. I'm going to manually navigate to that location. If it was running, you would see the new entry at the top and the associated metadata in regards to that, and the status would display the words running. And you would see some information in this column over here. It might say something like loading QRDA data and so forth, and then you will see a progress bar. So, in regards to a few elements to the running of this report, one is that you will only want to have one report running at a time throughout your entire office. So that means you do not want to start up a second report, even if it's on another computer. So you should wait until this report is finished. There has been situations where having multiple reports going has caused this to lock up and cause problems. So we don't want you to have problems, so just hold on, let one report complete. When it's completed, go ahead and start another report at that time. No problem at all. If you close this out and you have your report running, don't worry, it's still going to run because it passes the data to the CQM Solutions company, and you do not have a performance hit on your server. So your Management Plus will not be slowed down by running this. Unlike the normal meeting for use report, it will take a hit on your server. If you have a lot of users running, you might notice things are a little slower. But with CQM Solutions, it will not do that. Also, if you access this fairly quickly, you do not have to log back in. I don't know what the timeout time is set for. I think it's at least 5 minutes that it will not time out, but then anything longer than that, you'll just have to log back in. It might even be as short as 3 minutes, but you do have several minutes before it will time you out and cause you to log in. If you have this window open or minimized on your computer, it may or may not refresh. I have seen this occur in both scenarios where it would just not refresh at all, and you'd have to press F5 on your keyboard to refresh the screen. And then also I have seen some cases where it will automatically refresh. You'll see the progress bar move across to the right hand side, and then when it's finished, it'll say complete. Okay, so that's nice. Otherwise, just press F5, or if you close it out, open it back up, and it's completed, it will say complete, or it will just refresh the status of that. So makes it very nice. Once upon a time, these reports would take anywhere from 5 minutes up to 8 days to run. A lot of them took at least 1 day to run. Things have been changed now so that those long periods of times are not being experienced any longer. It usually is about 5 minutes on the average. If you have just a ton of records in there and you're running it maybe for a year, it might take a couple of hours, maybe 3 or 4. Once you start to run those long reports on lots of records, you'll get to know how long it takes. If you check it in 2 hours and it's not done, and you come back in another hour and it is, then you'll kind of know how long it takes and to prepare. It's not a bad idea to set this up and let it run at night, right before you go home. Come back in the morning, hey, it's all set. It does give you the creation date and time, but it does not tell you when it was finished. But if you're waiting on it and you check it regularly, you'll get an idea how long it takes for your time period. Okay, the last thing on this is just the display of records. I couldn't tell you what happens if you, after you get to 100 and you get to 101, if it starts lopping off the bottom one, the oldest one. More than likely that's probably what will happen. But by that time, that won't be a problem, since it should be several years to get up to that point. Okay, let's take a look at the results. Just going to click View Results. Now, we're going to kind of move this around a little bit so you can get a little better view of what we're trying to do here. I would recommend a similar setup on your screen with your results page and the Word document that's titled Sorted CQM Cheat Sheet. These are hyperlinks here, which you can click on that and it will take you to those locations. So this works the same way. These have hyperlinks. This was built by a very nice fella in the Salt Lake City office that did a great job on this. When he supplied this to me, I improved upon it just a little bit by adding the hyperlinks and sorting them so that they're in the same order as what's over here. So if you want to go to CMS 139, just hold the Control key and click that, and it will take you to that. Or you can click into the hyperlink, press Enter, and it will take you to that place as well. Either one will work. Okay. So what we'll do here is we'll go down through each of these measures one at a time and talk a little bit about these so that you get an idea of what's going on here. The first thing I want to mention to you about this is there is no pass or fail for these measures. So unlike your normal meaning for use report that has a numerator and a denominator with a percentage, this does not show you a percentage. So don't worry about the pass or fail. Our best advice on this is just look at that and ask yourself the question, is this headed in the right direction? Does this look fairly normal for our type of office? Whether it's an optometry office or ophthalmology, you should know after a little while of running these reports what is fairly normal or what you can expect. Same way with your normal meaning for use report. Okay. So when you take a look at this, you'll notice on this where it says Dynamic Health IT 2016. Why is that there? That is just something to do with this web browser. I've seen that quite a bit of times, and it just kind of cuts off part of this. I don't know why, but it does. So if I scroll down a little bit, it's kind of still there in that same section. So this top one, CMS 50, closing a referral loop, specialist or receipt of specialist report. This is essentially like your direct send. Okay, this is an overlap. Your meaningful use report has measures associated with direct send, so does your CQM. This should look very familiar to you. Okay. Your initial patient population and denominator, patient referred to checkbox on the meaningful use page, and then a billed CPT code. Some of these measures will only take a 99 code, some will be a 92 code, and some measures will accept both. So just be aware of that. So that if you are billing like all 92 codes and this particular measure happens to be triggered only by 99 codes, and you know you've documented 580 of them in there, and you take a look at this and you say, well, gee, how come they don't show up? Well, it could be just because of that billed CPT code on the claim is not what they're looking for. You don't have to change how you bill. That's perfectly acceptable. They know that. They're looking only at claims with specific codes. So don't worry if this does not appear to be correct. We have been assured that these are very accurate. The CQM Solutions company, I believe, is certified for well over 100 different CMS measures. So we only are using 12 of those. So they are very reputable. So we have had a lot of folks question the validity and the accuracy of this. And once we've checked into it and looked at it real close, we found out that every time it is reporting correctly. I want to put in as a side note that just like the meaningful use report, you should be running this at least once a week for each physician. Not once a month, not once every 6 months, or not once a year, but at least once a week. Oftentimes at first, doesn't hurt to run them every day. So you can make sure that you're on track of doing this. You've instilled good habits by getting these reports run. Also, you'll want to save a digital copy of this on your computer, and you'll want to save a printed copy in a place that you can access this in the event that you're ever audited. You'll be able to produce this information and not have a problem. Okay. So, closing the referral loop, receipt of specialist report. Here we just have 0 out of 5, and that's perfectly fine. Documentation of current meds in the medical record, 79 out of 83. That's pretty good. Again, there are no percentages at all here, so don't worry about pass or fail. It just should look fairly normal, and this looks pretty good. Only 4 of them didn't have any meds in the record. That's not so bad. Okay, not so bad at all. So again, here's our denominator. Let's go down to this section for meds. Our denominator is for patients 18 or over, and again, a billed CPT code. It's either going to be 9992 code, or it could be even both. And your numerator is the medications table. That's on your meds and allergies forms, or just within your e-prescribed grid if you have some of the older forms. And sometimes this e-prescribed grid is on review of systems, past family social history. It doesn't really matter where it is, just as long as it's in that medications table. CMS 69 is preventative care and screening body mass index. So you can see here for your denominator, we have the control IDs of the height control. That's on the meaningful use form and oftentimes found on other forms, and then the weight. So again, this is marked with an asterisk. You must do this. I suppose you might be able to claim an exclusion, but we're not going to go into any exclusions here, even though it does list it right there. So this is a core measure. I would highly recommend this. If you feel like you can become exempt for this measure based on whatever documentation you might happen to have, that's entirely up to you to make that decision. But for me at Management Plus, I will tell you to document this on a majority, if not all, of your patients. Generally, this is on a static form, and once it's there, it's going to be there, but we do naturally recommend that you update that by updating your field audit every year. Okay, so you can see that we have multiple initial patient populations, denominators, and numerators based on those exclusions that are part of that. Okay, diabetes eye exam is the next item. And you'll notice that the further down we go, they get a little bit more complicated. CMS 131. You'll notice that this document does say ICD-9 codes. Don't worry about that, saying that. Just do your ICD-10 codes. Since October 2015, we've switched over. So don't worry if it says this. It will work under your ICD-10 codes just fine. So if you have a specific ICD-10 code that's indicative of active diagnosis of diabetes in one of the 4 lookup lists in the banner, or if you have a SNOMED code in the problem list that is associated with that. 18 to 75, also a billed CPT code, and then the dilation eye, this is a radio group where it's either right, left, or both. That needs to have a value selected within that for your numerator. And you can see for this, there's 7 out of 7 on that. So looking pretty good when it comes to that. This office does have CQM macros that I have built for them, and they look like they are using those quite well. Okay, let's go down to the next one. CMS 132, complications within 30 days following cataract surgery requiring additional procedures. So essentially what they're looking for here is just a CPT code that has been billed for any of these procedures here. So you can see retained nuclear fragments, endophthalmitis, dislocated or wrong power IOL, RD or wound dehiscence. If those have been billed within 30 days, that will count as your numerator. And you can see here there are none, so that's great. He's doing a good job. The next one, see if we can get that back up there. CMS 133, cataracts 20/40 or better visual acuity within 90 days following cataract surgery. Patients on this are over 18 years of old, and they need to have a CPT code, a specific one. You should note, this is the part that throws everybody when it comes to reading this, is that due to some specific criteria that occurs during the calculations, this is set up to where the cataract surgery must have been performed at basically 93 days, which is greater than 92, so 93 days. So if you run a 3-month report, guess what? It's going to be 0, 0, 0 every single time. So it's got to be at least a 6, 9, or 12-month report. So just like over here, you can see that it's 0, 0, 0, 0 all the way across because this is just a 3-month report. So I totally expect that. So if you run a 3-month report and you know that you have been checking this 20/40 or better box, oftentimes a copy of this is up there close to your acuity section, or if it's just on the meaning for use page, and you know you've checked that 35 times, and you know you feel like you've got the right code in there, but you get nothing on your report, that's because it's a 3-month report. So again, 6, 9, or 12 months for this before you get any values on your report. CMS 138, preventative care and screening, tobacco use. So for Dr. Pulliam, they've got 5 out of 8. That's not too bad. It's looking pretty good. Fairly normal, I would expect that. Okay, so over 18, again, got to get the right CPT code on, and then naturally documentation of your smoking status, which will automatically trigger the SNOMED code, and then of course if you've checked the discuss cessation checkbox on the meaning for use page, which is always right next to the smoking status control on whatever form it happens to be for your office. Okay, screening for future fall risks, CMS 139. Patients over 65 years old. Okay, they've got 38 out of 39. Boy, they have done a great job on this. Way to go, Dr. Pulliam's office. So there usually is a clinical decision support rule that's built into your system. Yours may not happen to have this. Most of them do, where if they're over 65 and it's not been documented, it will trigger an alert to remind you. This is generally on a static form. So please do an update on this at least once a year, where you unselect this, exit the control, and then select it again to reset the field audit, so that if you're ever audited, you can prove that you've updated that at least once a year. So pretty straightforward. Ask them if they've fallen in the last 6 months. If they say no, check the box. If they say yes, check the box as well, and then tell them to go see their family doctor. And that's about it. CMS 142. Okay, that one and CMS 133 are by far the most complicated ones of all. But again, they're not terrible. They're looking for an active diagnosis of diabetic retinopathy, either an ICD-10 code in your banner or the correct SNOMED code in the problem list, over 18. Here they're looking for 2 or more exams. So if you run a 3-month report, chances are you're probably not going to pick up anything unless your patient is coming back quite a bit during that time frame within 3 months. So your 6, 9, or 12-month reports will probably be where you're going to actually start to see some numbers. Okay. So here in the numerator, we're looking for report received corresponding to patient referral. It's like, gee, that looks familiar. That is all part of your patient referred to, part of your direct send overlap as well. So you've got several of these that rely on these same controls. Also, you're looking for absent or present within the macular edema control on the meaningful use form. You can use a low ink code in the lab grid, but no one ever does. So if you have the CQM macros built in, a lot of my clients do, you can actually select the correct CQM macro, and it will put in the correct SNOMED code in the problem list and put in absent or present based on the correct selection of the macro, and you're all set when it comes to that. Okay, so here they're just 0 and 0 on that, and more than likely for this 3-month report they just didn't have patients that came in and had 2 exams with that. Okay, scroll down to the next one, CMS 143. Fairly similar. We're looking for an active diagnosis of primary open-angle glaucoma documented with an ICD-10 code in the banner or in the problem list with the correct SNOMED code, over 18. Again, 2 or more exams. And they're looking for, on the numerator, a cup to disc ratio for each control, and then positive or negative. Okay, here we have 0 out of 2. Okay, so it would have been nice to have that a little bit better on that, but you know, for some reason it wasn't. But nothing terrible. Again, just like the CMS 143, if you have the CQM macros built in so that you can select the correct script button, that will send the cup to disc ratio on that patient that is being documented with an active diagnosis of glaucoma. You probably wouldn't want this set up to send cup to disc ratios and positive or negative on all of your patients that you do indirect ophthalmoscopy or do an assessment of the optic nerve. In the event that you ever ran a regular custom report through Management Plus, it might look like you were documenting a lot more. So that's why these CQM macros are great, because it's just your decision, and you decide when you're going to send these values over to the meaningful use form for your CQM reports when your patient has an active diagnosis of glaucoma, so that this only becomes documented under these scenarios. So there are generally 3 there. One will send the cup to disc ratio, and the other one will choose either positive or negative on that one there. So very easy, very straightforward. But in this case here, they only had 0 out of 2 for whatever reason. The next one is high-risk meds in the elderly. And if you have Doctor First and you're doing your e-prescribe through that, you're pretty much all taken care of. There are a couple of different numerators, and they're broken down to where it's looking at 1, or and the next one is 2 high-risk meds in there. So here we have 0 out of 36. Okay. And the last one, controlling high blood pressure, they have 4 out of 12. That's not too bad. Okay. So again, this is a core measure. It is marked with an asterisk, so you've heard it from me at Management Plus that I would highly recommend that you document your blood pressure, and that is usually on one of your static forms. Here are the control IDs that match what's on the meaningful use form. It's looking for 1885. We're also looking for essential hypertension That means that, it's your regular normal hypertension. It should be documented as essential. There are specific ICD-10 codes for that, so make sure that you are accurately documenting the correct code for that, either in the banner or in the SNOMED code in the problem list. Again, if you have the CQM macros, it will put in the correct code, and again, the correct CPT code. So generally this is on a static form, so again, once you do it, it's always there. And again, if you don't have blood pressure cuff, that's okay. Just ask them what their last blood pressure was. They don't care how you get the information. You can get it off their driver's license for their height and weight. You can ask them what their blood pressure cuff or blood pressure was at their last visit to their family doctor, or if you go into a drugstore and they have the thing you stick your arm into, that's okay. It doesn't matter where it comes from. It just needs to be there. Okay, so we have gone through our results on this in detail. And so I would highly recommend you have this here when you're reviewing that. I'm going to click Menu and then Home. Takes me back to my home screen. Okay, and you can see it's been a while. Okay, so I'm just back here. So it did time out since we were looking at that. So I am going to log off now, and I'm going to show you how to log into the administrator account. I'm going to click Log Out. So you'll just do administrator, and you'll put in the password that was supplied to you. If you're on the hosted site, you will not have this password, so you will not be able to get into the administrator account. So you can see here that it looks kind of the same. Like I said earlier, you could potentially run reports here, but you really should not, because you really don't know what doctor it's for, or if it's even set up for your doctor. So you can see that our support department has ran some tests when they were working on it there, so that's fine. But if you happen to have multiple physicians and you did have them set up all correctly, you could see actually what the physician's name was and for how long. And you could view those results right here if you needed to. But this is really just for administrating, or I could talk right, for administering the user account. So you click Menu, Administration, and there we go. It's kind of overlapping here. I've seen that. You'll click Users is the option of choice. That overlap is just something to do with the web browser. I see that fairly often. So this is the administrator account right here. This is the one that support generally sets up. This is the account that I set up for Dr. Pulliam. If you wanted to add a user, you just click Add User. And here you'd have it. Username, email, password, first and last name, and then the ID. Okay, not too hard at all. If I wanted to edit this account, I would just click Edit. And you can see how this is filled out right here. You won't see the password on that, but if you did want to change it, you just key in whatever you wanted to change it to. So again, just like on the text file, which we'll bring up here, here's his first and last name for the username. You can't see the password. The physician ID is 2, so you can see it right there. So first, last name, ID of 2, clinician, practice is all right there. And there's this password that I used. When you click Edit, that's kind of like the Save button. I don't know why it doesn't say Save or OK or something like that. But it just says Edit. So if you're either adding a new user or you're editing a current account, that's what you want to choose. Very straightforward, very easy. Occasionally, I have seen scenarios where you go to log into CQM Solutions and all of your accounts are gone. That has happened a fair amount of times. Hopefully it doesn't for you. So if it does, not a big deal. It doesn't take but a few minutes to reset these accounts. So keep this information handy, the CQM metadata. If you have more than one physician, oftentimes if it's 5 physicians or less, I will set these accounts up for you. If you have 20 doctors in your office, I'll probably do 1 or 2 and then leave the rest up to you to set up. But I would recommend that you keep this all in one place, either print it out, keep it in a safe, secure place. Also keep this on your computer so you can just grab information, copy it and paste it into this if you ever need to reset a particular user account. It does not take long at all to do that. Okay. When it comes to the physician ID, as I mentioned earlier, you can run a report. That's probably what you would do. Otherwise, if I set up accounts for you, I will supply all of this for you so that you have that, and this will not ever change. Okay. Thank you again, Dr. Pulliam, for allowing me to use your server for this training webinar. This does conclude our training for CQM Solutions. Thank you.